Good morning, Arthur.
Hey,
How are you?
doing pretty darn good. How about you?
Very good.
You flip a couple of these switches here, make sure we're all set.
How many of these a month do you do, Arthur?
Uh, Two or three a week, depending on the month. So this, summer, not so much. In
Yeah.
fact, I tried to do none in August, for example, but invariably what happens is we get pressure because we don't have capacity.
Yeah.
And so we end up doing them anyway, and they generally uh, surprise us. In other words, we expect to get nobody in in the summer. Hi.
Well,
Hi.
let's hope we get somebody.
Yeah. um, Susan, you used and it's totally okay, the same link as Greg. And if you mouse over your picture,
Yeah,
the three dots, you can just change your name.
got it. Got it. Either that or I can go back to what you guys sent me.
No,
Maybe that's easier.
it's totally fine. Yeah, it's easier this way, actually.
Rename.
So, Arthur, did you notice anybody in particular that might have registered for this, or?
There's a couple people of note. There's some that I don't know. Uh, there's not a lot, but don't get discouraged because we're going to use this content
Yeah.
to you know that's equally as important as post webinar. We send it out to everybody, right? So,
Yeah.
You got that. That's why we'd love if you asked, and Greg, feel free to give him a little bit more guidance on this. Certain questions could be good. Do you kind of moderate and ask any questions
Oh
or?
yeah.
So Greg, is there anything you would like him to hit or ask as a question? We can do this like a Biden interview. Here are the questions you're allowed to ask.
Do you want me to just stare directly out into space?
With your mouth agape, please.
I
Jeez.
think, Arthur, the thing that's surprising, not surprising, is how quickly are people are seeing this last mile digital delivery, delivery in an analog world. Like our advisors are coming to us with stuff literally almost daily. And so, this thing it's everything that we did before, right? It's, it can be an app if you wanted, but it works on every device. But it's this distillation of all of your content into digital links or QRs. So anything digital you do, it can be there. But the QR stuff is looking really kind of epic.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think one of the things that would be helpful, we just housekeeping wise, at the appointed time, I'll hit start and record. I'll do some, short thing to kill some time because it takes a couple minutes for people to get on. But I think we should start with backgrounds real quick, and by that time, everybody who's going to be on is on, and then go into a the background of how this all came about and a bit of its evolution. And then early on, make sure we put the ask in. Don't wait till the end, and then do it again at the end. So those are a couple things. And then finally, with what related to what you're saying, I think we need to do our best to tell people how important having that digital asset, and it can be ubiquitous, being launched from your area, from your product, and how it's different than how that is done today. Where it's done today is people, and tell me if I'm getting this right, some people use their website as a clearinghouse for all their information, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, you can create digital links. So wherever you put it, it's usable as opposed to having to go back to the site, right?
And we actually have like, there's a slide in here, and there's a lot of slides in this deck, but I go through it really quickly because most of it's visual. But there's a specific slide in here, Arthur, about like showing a wine bottle. And so, the cool thing is you can do a QR, and then over time, you can do more videos that are still attached to that same QR. So here's the winemaker in the vineyard. Here's the winemaker, the next video talking about the grapes. And here's the winemaker talking about the bottling. It's kind of crazy how people are reacting to this.
So when someone doesn't need to have the product to scan the QR code.
Correct.
The user, right?
Right.
And then the QR code, if the content changes, is there an alert that goes out and said, hey, there's something new?
Well, you can actually, so like if you wanted to post our launch of this, you can replace your app with this. And one of the things, and I'm going to show this because I'm going to go into the little, not deeply, but I'm going to go into the click demo. And so you can save the app to your phone. It acts just like an app. You get badge and push notifications. If you are looking at it in a browser on your tablet, laptop, desktop, you can enable notifications. So you publish something, the difference in the future with us, you publish something and the person who has it saved as an app will get a push, but the person who saved it on their browser will get a push. So it's like everything you had, but a whole shit ton more. I think that's the technical.
And the one thing, because if I picked up on a piece there, when you're talking about a QR before, you only had one QR for the FOI app.
Right.
This gets down to the content level. This can get down to the tag level. That's also quite revolutionary because before it just would take you to the app store. You'd get, the app. Now this takes you to specific content as well.
Yeah. And when you say tag, meaning the traditional tags that are used.
Let me look and see what you have for tags, just to give you an example. Because
So what you use in Instagram or LinkedIn, if you own the tag, like there was
so one of the things you do in our platform, Arthur, is like the organization, you can set up tags. So like the classic is a union. So the union says, I've got a tag for shop steward, journey person, and apprentice. And so the person coming in selects the tag. In our platform, you'll be able to turn around and create a digital link or QR for any one of those. So you can turn around and do an email to apprentices, include the digital link, and when they click on it, it opens up, but just with their content. And so that's why the ability to do a QR or digital link at the org, the category, the tag, or the item is crazy powerful. When we were with New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau, they're sitting there and they said, so what we want to be able to do is we could do a tag, because the tag is controlled by the organization. So we could do a tag for thoracic surgeons. They're coming to town. And so they create content. It could be tagged with, content could be tagged by multiple things, but so they tag it with thoracic surgeons. Now they generate a link for that and they hand it to the thoracic surgeons in an email that they can send out. Now they've got curated content for them. It's great.
And I just did a screenshot. You have tags. So I just sent
a lot of
you
them, right?
Yeah, you have like single family office, multifamily, private accredited investor, all the way down to vendor, raising, fund manager, all of those. So you're able to actually send information again with the QRs directly, specific content to your specific people, as well as other things.
And you can use geolocation with those tags, for example? Like you could use geolocation?
Not in the first iteration, but by early to mid 2020.
Unless you set it up on your side.
Right.
Unless you set it up on your side and you're saying, okay, here are all my West Coast people, because you have that in there and you know who's there, then you're able to integrate that.
Yeah.
But we'll have it more automated as we go forward.
I think one of the things that I was getting at also is that people try to relate things to what they think they know somebody else is doing, right? And so is what you're doing so novel that nobody else is doing it, or is it like XYZ, right?
So, so nobody's doing what we're doing. The Hollywood pitch that we have for this, Arthur, is this is WordPress for PWAs, right? Like by middle of next year, you'll be able to come to our website, whatever your application is, however you want to use this, you're going to be able to sign up, create your stuff, upload your assets, and it'll be turned on for you. But part of our pitch here is, Arthur, you've got a CMS to manage your website. You also have a CMS to manage your email. You might have a third CMS to manage your social media. If you want to create a piece of content, you kind of have to do it over here in the website CMS. And then if you want it in the email, you have to do it there. We're a single CMS for engagement content. And because we can spit out digital links or QRs, it can be used in any of those. So you can create your content and drop a link in an email. And when people click on it, they see all of it, or any subcategories we've talked about. You can link to it from your website. You can include it in your social media. So it's kind of like a new category, a CMS for engagement content.
Have a library of your images, your videos, things like that. That's different as well with this that you don't have with your other
Yeah.
pieces.
So what's the PW? What's an acronym? What's it stand for again?
So progressive web app. So instead of being a native app, right? So
Yeah.
the problem with a native app is you have 3 tech stacks, your back end, Android and iOS. So you have to innovate in all of those. You have to push the apps through the app stores. There is a fundamental limit. Some percentage of your audience will never download an app.
It's crazy how
That's what you have right now. Is
right.
in this
But
app.
but wasn't it really interesting, the human habit or whatever? No matter how much people wanted to do your stuff, they wouldn't download the app.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then
That's
the third thing is that's really key. The app only works on a smartphone. That's it.
Yeah.
So a PWA, all a PWA is, progressive web app, it's a website. It's formatted to look like an app. So let's see, you don't download it. When you scan the QR, click the digital link, it instantly launches. That's why we can do applications like New Orleans flipped out. You step off the plane, there's a poster, you scan the QR, and it launches instantly on your phone with everything that's going on in New Orleans that week. If you want to save it to your phone as an app, it'll act like an app. But instant launch, no download, and works on every device.
Got
And
it.
always
Smartphone, tablet,
updated.
desktop, laptop.
Yeah, it's like
It's completely different.
it is WordPress that acts like SaaS.
SaaS
Meaning-
platform.
Yeah.
It's you update it once and it's updated everywhere, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other thing from a financial standpoint, Arthur, from ship, so we think we're going to go into revenue in November, but whenever it is, 3 months later, we're cash flow positive.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Like we collect 2 years of subscription at sign up.
Yeah.
And we have zero pushback on our pricing. And so again, for us, for Susan and I, having been through this before, being out of the fundraising business. And so one of the things we talk about in here, Arthur, is right up at the beginning is how we are eliminating risk for becoming part of this thing, because we have proven all of these things and we get the cash flow positivity, all of these things. So this is, as we like to say, this is an unstartup. The 3 questions that an investor always is: how much money is it going to take to figure out this model. We already know it. We've already proven it, pricing, etc. The hell are the three? I should
That's
have
okay.
this-
It's okay. He just remember them because we have to start. Just because.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We are broadcasting live from Park City, Utah, where I am. And Susan, you're in the Hamptons or New York?
I am now in Boston, South Shore of Boston.
In Boston. And Greg, you're in Boston, I think. Yeah.
North Shore of Boston. Yep.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Super excited to have this chat today. We know you're there. We can't hear or see you, but please put your questions in the chat and the Q&A as they come to mind. We'll get to as many as possible as we have a bunch of folks coming on today. One of the reasons I'm excited is because I've been partially part of this journey with Greg and Susan from the initial iteration of what you're going to see today, which was Let's All Do Good. And for those of you who have the Family Office Insights app, it is driven by the original iteration of what you're going to see today, which is far advanced. But just so you know, we have a keen interest in the success. We also have an economic interest in the success, full disclosure-wise. So one of the things that I think it's important to recognize is that what you're about to see was originally designed and provided to housing authorities and unions as a way to communicate to those members in a push notification way, because emails get buried and so on and so forth, that it was a really efficient way to make sure that housing authority participants and union members got up-to-date information and could be pushed out to their phones. What you're going to learn today is this is jumped about 3 generations beyond that product, and is now something that is not only taken advantage of current technology, but has changed from a technological perspective to be a much easier and more efficient way to deliver information for a variety of type of organizations. So super glad to have you guys. Thanks for being here. Susan, Greg, you want to take it away?
Sure. I'm going to go through this quickly. As Arthur said, you can put questions in chat. Happy to have any follow-up discussions that anybody would like to have. So the fundamental idea several years ago had an idea. There's a lot of organizations that are very frustrated in trying to talk to their audience. We all are fighting with our email inboxes and our social media feeds. And these organizations would like to reach people more directly. And so, as Arthur alluded to, I founded a company that, Susan and I founded a company that we built a platform, a native app platform, that allowed us to create branded apps for partners, unions, housing authorities, nonprofits, so that their audience, their members or residents, could download the app and they could reach them directly with rich, actionable content and push notifications and badge notifications. And as you'll see, as I flip through this, we got a bunch of people using it very quickly. And then for a variety of different reasons, we had the opportunity to go do it again. And in our mind, go do it right. And so I'm going to take you through a series of slides. Happy to share this with anybody. And again, I go through it quickly. And so the company's ImmediateNOW. And so what are we doing? Instead of building native apps, we're building what are known as progressive web apps, PWAs. And so a progressive web app looks and acts like an app, but it's actually a specialized website. And so this gives us the ability to deliver high impact content to audiences on any device exactly when it matters. And so really what we're building is, the Hollywood pitch is, we're building WordPress for engagement PWAs. By next year, organizations will be able to come to our website, sign up, upload their assets, and generate their own engagement PWA. And I'll explain what an engagement PWA is. But here's why we switch from native apps to PWAs. There is no download. Doesn't matter how good your app is. There are fundamental limits in every organization. There's some people who just won't download an app. We had unions who absolutely love the platform. And there's a set of members who won't download the app no matter what. Same thing in housing authorities. So best case scenario, you're going to be reaching 50 to 60% of your audience. The other side of that is pushing apps through the app stores is incredibly painful. You're constantly having to do updates. So for every organization that you bring into the platform for a branded app, you've got two different apps, the Android and iOS. And now it becomes an issue getting that through the app store. And then finally, there's a single tech stack for PWAs. You have 3 for native apps, and that becomes very expensive to maintain. I just want to make sure if everybody's seeing my screen, is that correct?
No, we're not. We're seeing you, not the deck.
Oh, well, that kind of defeats the entire purpose of this.
Yeah,
So
I thought that was your intro.
No, apologies, everybody.
No, that's okay. It was good anyway. Let's see. I've got everything flipped off here properly on our end.
Okay, so this should
there
not.
There you go. You got it.
You should not turn around and go, I wouldn't invest in this guy. He doesn't know how to use Zoom.
No.
Why don't you go back from the onset and zip through it?
Okay, so progressive web apps, high impact content to engaged audiences on any device, WordPress for PWAs, no download, instantly launches, no app store, and it's a single tech stack. So it's so much less expensive to develop. And so this is really it. You're now able to deliver content, not just on a smartphone, but on a tablet, a desktop, and a laptop too. And I can say that as we show this to people, part of what we've done here is turn around and socialize this with a lot of organizations. So we built what we call click demos, and that's what you're seeing here. So there's 3 components to our platform. All of these can be branded for the partner. On the left is the end user app. In the center is the content management system that allows you to manage followers and create content. And on the right is an admin app. This is one of our new innovations. So from the admin app, you can actually manage your followers and content, but create and publish content from out in the world instead of just in front of the desk. So I'm just going to show you a couple things quickly, and then we'll flip back to the presentation. So unlike with a native app, when you scan a QR, click on a link, you have to go to the app store and download it. That's not the case here. It instantly launches. I'm showing you an example for New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau. We were just down there and showed this to them. They flipped out. The idea is that you step off the plane in New Orleans, scan the QR, and you're instantly getting updates about what's going on in town. No download needed. Now, what I'm showing here is a fairly, as we refer to it, thick registration process. But part of what's cool is we can vary the registration process, have it thick, thin, or remove it entirely. So for their application for people visiting New Orleans, there wouldn't be any front-end registration. Now, here's one of our first big innovations. We automatically translate content created to the chosen language of the person. And so we support over 200 languages. So you'll make a choice, or they'll make a choice. And then in turn, anything that New Orleans CVB writes will be translated to Spanish or Vietnamese or French, et cetera. You have the ability to, they have the ability to set up tags. So you select the tags. In New Orleans, it might be, I'm interested in food, or I'm interested in music, and then content is delivered to you based upon your interest. There's no download. The app is instantly there. You're instantly engaging with the content. Now, one of the cool things about a PWA is you can click a button and it's saved to your phone. No download. So this opens up the opportunity for what we refer to as temporary disposable apps. You use it for the period of time. There was never a download. The download is the big barrier. There's no download, and then you throw it away when you're done with it. But it acts just like an app. So the push notification lands, and I tap it, and now I'm looking exactly at the item they want me to see. You can publish pictures and video, rich text, links, documents. And so I can be sitting, Susan and I can be sitting in a bar in New Orleans, and I say, have you seen this thing? This is really cool. And tap the QR button and hold it up to her. She scans it. Now she instantly has it. And, click on share and share it across any of my social platforms. Again, link to the website or link to the theater guide in this case. You can even have contact the organization, addresses for getting, obviously directions and whatnot. They can even include, you see Steinway and Sons, this is not us, this is not advertising. This is the organization turning around and featuring their partners.
Oh,
That's what the app experience is like. The CMS, I'm just going to show you a couple of different things. Manage it all from here, manage your followers, manage the content. And so if I want to go create a piece of content, click on create content, and I just fill in fields. But one of our big innovations, we're building generative AI into this. So you can write something and publish it, or you can turn around and we will help you write that. We will change it for you in whatever way that you would like. And then the other thing that we do that it does is we create suggested push notifications. This is already done for you. Now you don't have to use them, but if you want to, we'll suggest the schedule and we'll write the push notification based upon what you've written, what you're going to be sharing with people. Turn around and you can set start dates and end dates and at an address if that's appropriate. You can publish it to everybody or just to certain groups. Add your sponsors to it, and then turn around and publish it, and you actually see exactly what the item will look like.
so,
And then
when somebody puts this on their phone, they scan the QR code, they put it on their phone, is the identifier the phone number? In other words, how are you pushing something to them? Is it a unique identifier other than their phone number?
When you save that icon, you're effectively saving the website, the PWA. And so you're identified through having saved it to the phone.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the cool things that we can do, we can vary registration with this. So again, if you think about the New Orleans, when you step off on the plane, they don't want you going through a big registration process. They instantly want you to get into the content. But another application for them is speaking to their members. They have 1,100 members. In that path, in that experience, there'll be a thicker registration. We can also age gate and location gate things because one of our target launch markets is cannabis. So we can age gate content.
Yeah.
And so it's all identified by you're turning around and saying you save it to your phone or you save it within your web browser on your other devices. Does that make sense?
Yep. And
Okay.
if somebody uses it, does it in the first iteration that you're going to come out with, does it identify them as using it? In other words, when somebody uses an app, you don't necessarily know that they opened some content that you sent them. So
You'll have
send an email to somebody, the smart email programs show you who opened it, who clicked on it, etc. Will this identify that sort of thing?
Yes. Over time, we're building deep metrics into the back end. You'll know how people are collectively responding to content, individually responding to content.
Yeah.
Over time, the platform will make recommendations to you as to the kind of content you should be sending to your audience. You'll also see all of the you'll see the languages that people are using. So this is a deep, ultimately is a very deep content and context management platform for organizations. And so one of the other big innovations is this idea that we've got a mobile admin app. And so you're not just publishing from the office.
Yeah, you
but
can do it on the fly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so the classic example for us is with this platform, they'll be able to step out, that union will be able to step out of the negotiating session and send an update to all of their members. They'll be able to approve followers, approve content. But here's one of the big innovations. We're building the ability to record short form video into the platform. And so the example is the union stepped out of the negotiating session and the lead negotiator recorded a video and then shared it with membership instantly as to what's going on. We're in effect creating private TikTok networks.
Yeah.
The applications for video are ridiculous.
Yeah.
We retain 95% of what we see, only 10% of what we read. Video will very quickly become the single most important feature within this platform.
And then you
It's
could,
engaging. It's all of those reasons. And that's how people are used to getting their information right now as well. So we built it in.
yeah, it's a meme generation. So hang on one second. Uh, Someone in the group may have missed it, but they asked a question about, and so I just want to repeat it. Greg, forgive me. Does the technology have an AI component, example, create messages, et cetera? And the answer is yes. But if you want to
Yes,
do that
absolutely.
again, that would be great.
Yep. Yeah. So if I go in and I create content, and so we call it assist now. And so you can write a piece of content and just publish it. I like what I've written. I'm going to publish it. Or you can turn around and say, I'd like to rephrase it. I'd like to shorten it. I'd like to lengthen it. I'd like to add emojis, make it funnier, make it all of the things you can do. But the second part is it will then, one of the things we learned in our previous life was if you had an event in the future, you might send a push notification when you publish that item, but you should be sending pushes leading up to the event. The platform will turn around and say, oh, Arthur, you're going to be doing, one of these things 4 weeks out. Send reminders to people. It will recommend the reminders, recommend the timing, and give you example, or it'll make recommendations on what the pushes might be. Now, you don't have to use it. You can change it. But AI will be threaded, generative AI will be threaded deeply through our platform. But it starts here with content creation. California that we showed this to, that will be a launch partner. They have 80, it's a union local with 80,000 members. And so we were going through the early iteration of this and we said generative AI. And their immediate response was, we don't like AI, right? Because it's going to take jobs.
Just turn it off. Yeah.
Well, before we got off the page, they were like, well, wait a minute, I could use it this way. I could use it this way. I could use it this way. It went from, we won't use it to, is this going to be here in the launch? We have to have generative AI. So I'm going to emphasize some of the things. There's a lot more to this, but I just wanted to give you that quick overview. Now I'm going to flip back and start taking you through some more of the story here.
So this screen, back to that screen, you say this is it, right?
Yep.
It seems as if that people would be building things in this way rather than the traditional way. So is this something that is used by big companies now, this methodology of delivery?
So PWAs actually, I mean, we're not inventing the use of PWAs. Macy's uses PWAs, JetBlue does, Uber does. The PWAs are being used around the world. Again, you've got a dramatically, and let me be clear, those organizations still do native apps too, but PWAs are so much less expensive to develop and work on every device. That's the biggest problem with a native app is it only works on your smartphone. It doesn't launch instantly. You have to download it. And then here's the other spin. Because you have a single tech stack, you can do integrations with partners far more easily. So when we were with New Orleans, they immediately went into, okay, so now we can integrate anything that's got an API we can integrate with our member management platform. Yes, you can. And so PWAs change literally everything.
It also reduces the risk. A lot of times you have whether it's Google Play or whether it's the Apple App Store, they're changing what their requirements are, and they can do that at any time. And you have to then fix it on the app, get in queue to get approved. You lose weeks. You lose weeks. If you're lucky, that's all you've lost.
Yeah.
So in the company we founded before, we were doing native apps, and in very short order, 150 plus customers, 50,000 app users. But that's where we also discovered all of the problems with doing native apps. And so from an investment standpoint, what's really kind of cool is there's an investor is typically sitting there saying, how much money is it going to take this company to figure out the business? We already have. We've proven everything. How much do I have to put in? We achieve cash flow break even 3 months after product ship. And how much dilution will there be? We're using a post-money save. Your percentage is defined before and if we take any additional money from anybody else. And incidentally, the old platform, and we're certainly hoping Arthur and company will come to the new platform. If you have the FOI app, that's the last thing that we built. So,
which by the way is, even though it's been the people on this call right now built it and they no longer manage it, and during the time that we've been using it and up till now, it's bulletproof. Like, it just works. It's pretty amazing. So that, I think,
thank you.
At least one data point from a user, right?
Yeah, no, that's really important. And quite frankly, it's important to us. That's kind of the nature of how we build things. Yeah. So from an investment perspective, we're all about risk reduction. So between Susan and I, we put 150,000 into this. Our dev partner has done 100K in in-kind work, all of that UX work. That's why we weren't going to go off and write a line of code until we knew this is exactly what people would buy. And AWS has also given us 100K credit. We've got 750K committed. We're doing 3 million ultimately, all from individual investors. Services, UX, architecture is all complete, developments in process. This is another thing that's really important. We're at 100 organizations in our pre-launch pipeline. Let me be clear, not all of them will sign exactly at launch. 90% of them will sign, period, full stop. And we think virtually all of our former customers will be coming over to the new platform for a whole bunch of different reasons. But this alone represents 1 million in potential bookings. And New Orleans, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, United Domestic Workers, that's the 80K union, Texarkana Housing, Caroline's Cannabis, frankly, everybody we show this to. And right now, FCS is planned for November of 24. One of the cool things, you'll see this in the pricing slide, we collect 2 years of subscription revenue at sign up. That's what gets us to this model. Susan and I are obsessed about being cash flow positive. And we get to cash flow break even in 3 months after ship and 18 months from CFB to profitability. Here's the difference. You got a link or QR. A native app takes you to the App Store. You have to download it, install it. You have access to the content. With a PWA, it launches instantly. And so it completely changes the nature of the relationship. That's why New Orleans gets 17 million visitors a year. 17 million people are not going to step off a plane and download an app. But some nice percentage of them might step off a plane and scan a QR and instantly have a list of what they can do in New Orleans. That's what we give them. That's what we can do with this. And it works on everything. So with an app, if you've got a QR and a link and you click on it in an email on your desktop, it's going to take you to the App Store. There's nothing you can do. In our platform, it works on PWAs work on smartphones and tablets and desktops and laptops. It works everywhere. So as I alluded to, we're sticking a lot into this. This isn't close to being the whole list. The automatic language translation, that big union in California, 40% of their members are non-native English speakers. They speak Spanish or Vietnamese. We have a housing authority coming on in Florida. 20% of their residents are non-native English speakers. 21% of American households are non-native English speakers. The smartphone admin app means you can publish from anywhere. Native video is going to be a game changer. The ability to record a short video and share it with anybody. Retain 95%.
How is that different than what people do now? Meaning you have your phone, you record the video, you push it out to whoever you want to see it. How do you
push it out?
Well, are you in your app when you record it or whatever it is? Or you're doing it the normal way, and then you can post this as an admin into wherever you want to send it. Help us.
So you can do it either way. You can use you could step out of the meeting, record the video from within our admin app, immediately select the tag group that you want it to go to, and it goes instantly. Or you're someplace and you record a video and then you turn around and go, I should share that with people. And you can take it and share it that way. So you can do it either way with our platform.
So which would suggest that the super efficiency that I see there, I think I'm following, is that rather than having my WhatsApp list that I push it out to so everybody I know can have it, or just have it show up in LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, that I can direct it to a whole a designated list of people that I've already set up.
You can do it both ways. So, so I'm going to hit something that will explain how this becomes really big. Generative AI, a big deal. We're going to do a WordPress plugin. 50+% of the websites on Earth are run by WordPress, and so we'll have a plugin so you can take the content from our platform and deliver it natively. And a whole bunch of deep metrics, audience targeting. This is not even close to the list of what we will be delivering over the next year. But this is really what it comes down to, this idea of what we call dynamic content. A piece of content can have pictures and video and rich text and links to other places. You see these things right here? We call these react buttons. And so you can have a react button. So Arthur, you could turn around and say, I'm going to have a summer outing in the Hamptons. Are you in? Maybe or no? And so people get the item and they click the button. Now, two things happen. Back in the CMS, you see how people are responding. More importantly, the people who have said yes, now you can create items and just send it to them. So do you want chicken or beef? The people who are maybe, can you guys decide? The people who are no, ignore them. So it's like creating new tags or new groups that are addressable.
Or have a list that automatically is populated with the people that yes, no, and maybes, right?
That's what it is.
Right?
You can also change, you also can edit those. So you can have other options in there. You can ask other like quick survey questions. Would you attend more things like this? They can say yes or no. So you can edit those in a couple different ways as well.
Yeah.
There can be addresses and dates and times and the Stella here that you see here, that's not us. That's not advertising from us. That's you. That's the organization saying these are organizations or groups or nonprofits or whatever that I work with, and you can incorporate them. You can even attach documents. So the idea here is we're creating a CMS for rich, dynamic, engaging content, and then that can be shared anywhere. And so at any level in our platform, you create a piece of content, you can take digital links or QR codes for the organization, for a category, for a tag, or for an item, and use it in any form of communication. Take a link and put it in an email, put a QR on a flyer. It all leads people back to the same piece of content. Manage your content once, and it can be distributed everywhere. And so the examples are a nonprofit could have a volunteering category, and they take a digital link and they stick it in an email. When you click on it from your email on your desktop, you see the list of stuff. They could put the QR code on the flyer, you see the same stuff. this came from New Orleans. They want to be able to do specific content for organizations that are attending events. And so they could do one for thoracic surgeons, tag content and deliver a specified list of content just to them. But this is where it becomes incredibly interesting. So let's take the liquid bioorganizer fertilizer and put a QR code on it. And that's where we get into the really big idea here. We call it scan the world. Every object tells a story. You create a content item, you generate a QR code, you distribute it, the audience engages, and you measure everything. And so this is about last mile delivery of digital content in an analog world. And so the examples are myriad. I stepped off the plane. I know what's going on in New Orleans. I've got a piece of equipment and I can see how to fix it. I'm looking at a wine bottle and I know what the winemaker was thinking. In fact, the beauty here is when you create a piece of content, that content item can change over time, but the QR doesn't. So the example here is I create a piece of content, I put the QR on a wine bottle, and when I scan it, the video pops up and here's the winemaker talking about the terroir of the vineyard. But when I scan it 2 months later, they've added a second video, talks about the grapes that go into that wine. And 2 months after that, when I scan it, or the next person 3 months later who's in the wine store can now look at the video about bottling. It doesn't just have to be content managed on our platform. You can link to content on YouTube or Vimeo. But imagine the winemaker is in the vineyard this beautiful morning and they hold the phone up and they record the video and they attach it to a piece of content and it's attached to the phone. So we're now in this world where we knew we were building this, but now the people around us, advisors to the company, are instantly coming back with additional applications for this. So one of our advisors, this is why we don't even talk about it from a forecasting standpoint, but the B2B, B2C opportunity for this thing is just simply nuts. And so he's got an emergency, he works with an emerging sustainable agricultural company. They have a ton of products and they want to thread this through everything that they do, delivering product demos off of a product packaging, sales videos and communications for training of the field sales and key distributors, right down to direct contact with end users, farmers to suburban end users. The applications are nuts. And so literally, like in the last week, as we've started telling the folks close to the company, this is what we can do. This is the stuff that's coming up. The same person has brought us the Brooklyn project, Greenwood Park, which is a cemetery in Brooklyn, but really rather remarkable.
It is unbelievable.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
They're interested in it. New Orleans CVB, festivals, cemeteries, funeral homes, in-home chef events. We were on a phone call with an AWS architect, senior AWS architect. And, we're explaining what we're doing and whatnot. And when we got to the end, he said, okay, I've got an application. When I walk into the airport, I want to be able to scan a QR and see exactly what's going on in the airport. This is not about flight information. You can get that from your JetBlue or your American app. This is about what's going on in the airport, any alerts, anything that's going on, are the restaurants open, et cetera, et cetera. So then you go from there to stadiums and music venues and the world, scan the world. So we are building a really big, really powerful, really scalable platform. And incidentally, again, this is part of what we took our AWS architect through, and he gave us the thumbs up. I can't emphasize this enough. It's a single tech stack. So it's 3 to 4x lower dev costs versus native apps and far easier partner integration. Anybody can come to us and say, obviously for additional costs, but we want to integrate with X, and we can do that. There's a couple key concepts here. We can do a house app. I'm going to talk about what that is in a second. And there can be an infinite number of profiles of organizations within that house app. Each one has their own digital link or QR. And so you get a house app and you can follow multiple organizations. Again, I'll show you that in a second. Every organization can have multiple profiles. For instance, Caroline's Cannabis has a store in Hopedale and one in Uxbridge. So from a single CMS, they can publish content to both, have followers that follow one or the other, publish content to both, or publish content differentially. So this is our pricing model. We wanted this to be incredibly simple. We don't want complex selling. We don't want the cost of complex selling. It's $9,200 for 2 years. One-time setup fee of $2,000. Incidentally, it takes us about 15 minutes. It will take us about 15 minutes to set this up. And then a $3,600 a year annual subscription, the ARR. Unlimited content, followers, and notifications, but 10,000 monthly active users. Above that, you pay more. 25 gig of video, 3 administrators, supports included because it's a self-supporting platform. You want additional profiles, you pay for those. You want additional MAUs, you pay for those. So for instance, again, 17 million visitors a year to New Orleans. If they really got behind this, you could easily see them being in the 50 to 250,000 or 250,000 to 500,000 a month range. Well, it's 1,200 a month or 2,400 a month, where you can prepay the whole year at 20% off. You want additional video storage? We're fine with that costs, and additional administrators. All of this, you'll sign up and you'll see the metrics exactly as to where you are with your monthly active users, your video storage, et cetera, et cetera. We want an insanely simple selling model. And so part of our removing risk from this is we already have 100 organizations in our pre-launch pipeline representing about $1 million. We will be very focused, as you can probably tell from what we're doing here. We could sell this to anybody, but we want to get to cash flow break even. We don't want to boil the ocean, so we're going to focus very initially on unions, housing authorities, because we're already known. We already have relationships with cannabis shops and CVBs, but there's not any organization that we couldn't go do this with. And so this is the idea of Caroline's Cannabis wants their own branded app. But we may do a Canna Now app, which means all the different cannabis dispensaries, because you might shop at multiple dispensaries, you could be in the Canna Now, and I can follow 2 or 3 or 4, and I curate the feed that comes to me. That's the opportunity for us. And the reality is, Caroline's Cannabis not only wants to have their own app, but they want to pay to be in Canna Now. And so we can create these market apps. We've got interest in doing one for golf. We've got there's 1 million applications here. And you can see how a market or house app that carries our brand, but organizations can publish into, how big they can be.
Am
At
I
the end of the day,
figuring
go ahead.
this out a little bit correctly? One of the challenges of being on all these social platforms is that they own your content and they own your customer. And that, just like the Uber driver that uses Uber to get private transport customers, that private limo, right? So it's basically business development. And because the Facebook and Instagram and so forth are so large, you go out and you do an ad spend, find the people who are interested in what you're doing, and then bring them back to wherever you want them to be in your CRM. Isn't this essentially the same thing, but now you own the customer?
You own the customer, you own the content, you own the video. We can't talk to them. Nobody else can talk to them. They're yours.
Yeah.
Period,
So
full stop.
yeah. So I can see that as super valuable, because one of the biggest problems with using the social platforms that exist is that they own all that data. It's their data, not yours, right?
You're paying them to build their business. You're paying us to build your business.
Yeah.
So because we're effective, we're very lazy people. We want a model that's incredibly simple. And so we've already proven this model. This is about digital marketing at the top end. You drive people into webinars, you demonstrate the product, and you do segmented webinars. Do this one for union, so they see union content and housing, et cetera, et cetera. We can do N number of these things. You demonstrate, you literally, we always called it the magic show. You demonstrate the platform. They decide whether they want to be in their own house branded app, or they want to be in our house branded app, or have their own custom app. There's a certain size of an organization that and the cost where they go in one direction or the other. And we demo it. That's it. These things are less than half an hour. And so it's all about digital marketing. And so we've already lined up our digital marketing firm. They're locked in. We've got obviously all of this is in our financial projections. And you turn around, you drive people into webinars. This is why we don't have to hire expensive salespeople. This is, we show you this thing and you self-identify and you buy it. So for 100 webinar registrants, 40 to 50 will show up. This is based on our experience. And 20 to 30% will sign up within 60 days. So for every 100, 8 to 15 will sign up. And then the ones that don't, rinse, repeat. But so you're looking at, for 100 registrants, based upon previous experience and our new pricing, you'll generate between 70 and 130,000 bucks over and over and over again. You just keep on driving digital marketing. And when you find a market, for instance, CVBs, we had a theory about CVBs. One of our advisor members hooked us up with New Orleans. We went in to see him. It became clear instantly CVBs are a thing. So we're not going to go boil an ocean, but there's not anything that we can't go do when we find the opportunity. The platform is completely self-serve. One of the things I didn't show you is built into the platform, both into the app and the CMS, is a communications platform so that they can, we didn't have this in the last one, they can ask us questions and we can answer questions and we can make suggestions to them. But it is a self-service platform. And again, based upon previous experience, we'll get about a 95% renewal rate. I can say this, our former company isn't going to experience that because most of those people are going to be moving over to us. So the other thing that we do is we always look for what we refer to as Sherpas, people who can help us within a segment. The Mass Cannabis Business Association is a partner. They'll be marketing it for us out to the 300 plus cannabis dispensaries in Massachusetts. Patterson Associates with housing, unions, CVBs, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking at 80 orgs and 700K or so in bookings, 190K in revenue in 24, 1,400, 13 million in bookings. Remember, the thing that happens here is we're collecting a chunk of money for setup and 2 years of subscription. So we pull cash in quickly. That's why we go to cash flow positive very quickly. So our forecast is 80 and then 1,400. And in 26, we're forecasting 10,000 new customer signups. And so we go cash flow positive in June. If we launch in November, we'll be cash flow positive in January. We'll be profitable in June of 26. But the key, again, for us, for Susan and I, is we throw off lots of cash. Obviously, you recognize it over time. So the revenue numbers are, 190K and then 3.3 with a loss. But then it gets big quick. So 4 months from 3 to 4 months from first customer ship, or 4 months to first customer ship, 3 months from FCS to cash flow break even, 18 months from cash flow break even to profitability. So we're raising $3 million on a safe. The minimum tranche is 50K. It's a post-money safe, meaning your percentage is locked in. Before any transactions happen in the future, your percentage is defined. Again, Susan and I have been through the life of doing things with convertible notes and whatnot, and we wanted a tool that ensured our investors were taken care of. And so that's exactly it. It defines exactly what will happen in the future. Your percentage is locked in. We've already proven the need, the pricing, the economics, the markets, the marketing and sales, extremely low friction customer acquisition, FCS in November. The booking numbers, break evens very quickly, profitable, and there are infinite applications. And then as a bonus, anybody who invests 100K or more gets their own branded app. Use it yourself. There's a million different ways this thing can be used, or gift it to a favorite organization. The 2 years of the initial 2 years of subscription are included, and then regular subscription rates apply year 3 and beyond. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Yeah, good. So what's the decision tree on whether you have a house app or your own app? Is it a matter of scale, price? What is it?
Yeah, so great question. So let me actually flip back up here. So, okay, so one of the it's generally accepted there's about 20,000 union locals in the United States. Our best guess is there's between 6 to 9 to 10,000 of them that are of, based upon their membership, could turn around and go, yep, I'll spend $9,200. As an aside, union leadership, I love unions. Union leadership is very egocentric. The ability for a union leader to record a video and share with their members, that's Valhalla for them. But that means there's like another 10,000 that are small. So like teachers unions. And so teachers unions are weird. They're not really broken up by locals. They're broken up by the school districts. So I live in a town, there might be 200 teachers in the town. They're not going to spend $9,000. So the idea is Melrose teachers can have a profile in a generic UnionNOW app, right? That's the idea. That's why it's so important that we can build these house apps that have an infinite number of.
So what's the delta on that?
So we'll probably, you can see up here, we're forecasting about $700.
You think I can see that? I can't see shit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I can see it now.
And so.
Oh, I get it. So it's considerably less. And
yes.
so it actually is sub-branded though, right?
Yeah, when you go to their stuff, you see, but it's with the thing that's sitting on your phone says UnionNOW. And it's interesting. That branding on a phone is incredibly important to organizations. And so, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And so the idea, spending $9,200, and so to frame this for you, we used to charge at the old company, we charged $13,000, $10,000 for setup because it was such a pain to redo the code and put it through the app stores. And then $3,000 a year. So now for less than 1 year before, you have 2 years.
Yeah. Well, by the way, for the group, I'm sorry, Susan, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one other thing that, so as we talk about that branding, A, it can go through their marketing budget and their marketing department. B, we also have included that whole sponsors section. People can organizations can subsidize their app they can charge whatever they want, whatever the market will bear, to have their partners in the community be featured within their app.
Yeah.
And again, that's their money, not ours.
And is that built into the app? We keep on calling it app because you can't help it, but that's not what it is, right?
Well, it's an app, but bigger. And so the ability is built in, not the monetization of them. Maybe we'll do that in the future, but this would really be, Arthur, you turn around and go, hey, Susan and Greg, why don't you give me $1,000 and I'll feature you in your stuff, and we write you the check, and then you turn around and it'll be very easy to create that unit, which incidentally, when you tap on it, will take you back to that organization's website and so on and so forth. So incredibly simple for organizations. And one of the things we found is like unions are like, oh my God, we take advantage of that. Like the local Ford dealer who, gives the IBEW members a discount on new F-150s. They'd pay to be in here. So it's an incredibly important point. The ability to do that really subsidizes the cost of the platform.
Do you think, I saw that you're using a digital marketing agency to create the opportunity to do the webinars in certain target markets.
Yep.
Am I reading this right, that this platform can be used as a digital marketing funnel itself?
Oh, yes.
Because once you get it populated with the people that are interested in a particular thing, then you can go out and do what digital ad agencies do every day and do, it's not the right words, but like kind type of people, and go harvest them, do the ad spend on Facebook, bring them back in, right? It really is.
Think of it, as Greg gave the example of New Orleans, and the thoracic surgeons come in, so now they have them tagged as thoracic surgeons. New Orleans and company can still, hey, you had a great time here last time you were in. Think about coming on back or bringing your family back. This is, we have the jazz festival coming up. There are so many different ways of using this.
There's an insane number of B2B applications. If you're, an insurance broker and you have myriads of agents, you can use it as a comms tool with them. It'll be whatever you want it to be. So we start in a very specific space, knowing what we did before. But I just can't emphasize enough, because it's turning into such a big thing so quickly. This last mile stuff,
Yeah.
I think it's huge. So
I still love, Greg, the saying that you've had, and it's don't build the last dinosaur, build the first bird.
Yeah, right.
We want to build the next great thing, right? And that's what this is all about. So it sometimes can be hard for people to grasp, because they know what they know.
Yeah.
It's same thing with Ford. If he had asked people, what should I build? They'd say a better horse and buggy. This completely turns everything on its head.
Yeah, and that QR code or link or whatever can be live anywhere.
Yes.
Right? You can just
On a
post that in a LinkedIn post, and all of a sudden
For sure.
you have somebody. Part of what I think I'm seeing here is now you've captured somebody.
Yeah.
Yep.
The digital marketing agencies use landing pages to put your email address in, so then they can bring you in. Now they've got you, right? So this is the same idea.
And it could be
Yep.
QR or a link.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's we start in the place where we were, because we know we can instantly monetize, but it's way bigger. I mean, it's just way bigger.
Yeah.
And as much as you possibly can with the startup, we've removed all of the risk.
Yeah.
We've socialized the platform. We have people sitting there saying, please, can I have the, when can I have it? Susan and I were down at a public housing conference, and we were standing in the elevator lobby, and a CEO of a public housing, Pinellas County Housing in Florida, walked up, said, so what do you guys do? And we went, blah. And he said, I need an app. And so when we got back, we set up a call. It was less than 20 minutes. They're sold. Period. And the idea of being able to, the idea that they could turn around and go, the power is going to be off, but they record the video. The power is going to be off in building 3, and it's delivered to everybody instantly. It changes the nature of communications for these organizations. They can't take that and post that on Facebook or put it on TikTok. So
Yeah.
Here's our story.
So how is the tech stack build compressed as much as you can compress it, but if you had more money, you could do it quicker?
So the more money wouldn't, so the tech stack's the tech stack. It's well understood. We know all the tools. We know that over time, I mean, this is kind of, so we're building a really big platform, really scalable platform. But so a couple of different things. Number one, we have global aspirations, period, full stop. if you were to say, so give me your best guess for the number of organizations globally that could use this. This is not the first year or the second year, but X years out. I don't know, between 1 million and 10 million.
Ridiculous. Like it's
Yeah.
everybody. Pizza guy could use it, right?
Everybody in every country. And so, you know, part of what you look at is, and this is part of the discussions we've had with AWS. So this is a North America centric layout. That's what we'll ultimately do to begin with, but you then replicate this around the world. There's another dozen features that we haven't even talked about today that are planned for this. And so, but the amazing thing is, $3 million gets you well beyond cash flow break even. I mean, you then are and Susan and I set this up purposefully this way. We have lived the life in previous lives, as a lot of startups have, with cap in hand saying, you know, now we need to go do the next thing. And that's why the 2 years, collecting 2 years of ARR is incredibly sexy. And you generate a lot of cash quickly. And so if we want to go do, you know, I've actually had somebody ask, so, you know, so what if somebody turned around and said, here's, you know, some ridiculous, here's 50 million. Go open up offices around the world. Okay, well, we could decide to do that if we want it, or whatever the amount is. But it would be a decision based upon strategically deciding to do things, not because we had to have that money to go do it. It would have to be a partner who added value and all of those things. And so the other thing people ask is, so what's the natural exit? Do I think this could be something that goes public at some point in time? I do. But you never know where the public markets are going to be. Is this easily an acquisition for somebody? It absolutely is. A digital marketing firm. There's a whole bunch of a PE firm. There's a whole bunch of folks who could see really interesting things to do with this.
Yeah.
So that really is our story.
Yeah, super helpful. All right, so just to recap for the group, and then we have to go, is 3 million. And basically you've done, you know, basically non-dilution rights, right? For this event. Yeah.
That's it. It's a post-money safe. That was really important to Susan and I. We did not want to do like a convertible note that always happens. Then the preferred money comes in, and we actually had this in the last one. People put money in on a convertible note, and the people writing the next check force them to convert to common instead of preferred.
Yeah.
We won't do that.
This was religious to us, that we protected the people that came in at this stage.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Because, you know, that is the normal play. You just force everybody who was there prior, who took the biggest risk, to take a bit of a hit. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Super, super interesting. Thanks for doing this, guys. We'll make sure everybody gets in touch with you, and then we'll get the recording and so forth and get it to you. And is there is a website, right?
Yeah, it's a teaser site. So immediatenow.com. It's not going to tell you much, but anybody who goes there, you can click, and if you want to see a deeper dive on the click demo or any of those things, you can schedule that there. But
yeah, the reason I'm asking is I prefer to post the recording if you're okay with it on your site, so we drive people there. We don't need to drive them to Family Office Insights. That's all.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. We'll sort all that out. Great.
Cool.
Thanks for doing this, guys. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thanks a million. Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, and stay tuned for getting connected to all the RSVPs, and thank you all for being with us today and sharing with us the only thing you can't make more of, and that's your time. Till next time. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.